I'm going to be showing you the steps and processes that we took to create our coma short film, or as I called it, Transcendence. So, the first thing we did is we started our um, pre-production. Pre-production consists of five, five boards that we used. We actually started with a 6 so that we could just start discussing what the plot was, have an overall discussion board that we could add to it at any time, whether that be from home or from Career Center itself. And we went over all things from what kind of plots we might need to what kind of characters we were going to create, to the story, to the plot. Everything kind of just ended up here in somewhere, but was not yet quite the finished product. The second document in which we worked on was the film treatment template. Film treatment template was an overall document for just getting really much more organized when it came to the tagline, the film, title, market audience, settings, background notes, plots, and the plot summary. This is where we really decided which how we were going to go throughout the story, kind of what we were really going to set for. And yeah, this next document is the film budget, which after coming up kind of with what the story we wanted, we had to come up with what we might need. We came up with a mini police beacon and a body bag. We were originally had doctors' costumes, but the Career Center was gracious enough to give us a couple pairs to use. And we actually wound up not even using the police beacon, as we used my car for a different thing rather than actual police car. Then we had a body bag for several scenes throughout the film to add the effect that she is most certainly dead. And yeah. This next document is the actual script. This came next. I did not work on it as much, but Paulina and I definitely did a lot of work, and I thought it came out great. We had a couple things we didn't quite agree on, but we got those fixed up, or we kept them or found an agreement on them quite quickly. But otherwise, nothing went really wrong with the script. It all came together quite nicely. Then came the storyboard. This also came together without much issue. The pictures look great, and we used this throughout most of the film. And this probably was one of the things that took the longest time.
We don't know when he was born. So what is this section set up right? We don't know when he was born. So
This next document is the coma shot sheet. Shot sheet also came out great. The only issue was with it is that it was actually built off one of our older versions of the script, so we actually wound up using the script more than this, but that was the only issue that arose, and otherwise it turned out great. The scene 3 seems to be the longest of all the scenes in this, and we did cut a lot comparatively, just from what we could do and what we couldn't do. And that was our pre-planning. The next thing we did is we actually went and shot the film and then edited it together. So the first thing I did was create an intro. And the intro, let's watch it real quick. So originally I had this Career Center logo actually animated to slowly fade in on the screen. I used all these titles to create my own, and that's the only reason why it's not this particular image, is because I had originally had it animated, but instead I thought I'd not get rid of all this part of the work and instead just keep it from it being animated, and instead just it looks a bit nicer and it matches the rest of the film and the rest of the intro. But the next one is my actual logo. I worked on this after we started shooting, and this flame kind of signifies a lot of the username that I usually use along with the 775. I thought I'd incorporate it together, and I thought it turned out nicely. Eventually, later this semester or next semester, I will animate the logo to appear this background first, with a flame animation and a smoke animation for the actual lettering. Then next came the actual transendence title. Originally I had wings that would fade down, but one of the teachers decided that it was a bit much, so I got rid of them and then instead just kept the title. And then we move on to the teaser trailer. This is really where I made most of my edits to the intro when it was really animated. This is also when I didn't have one of my establishing shots right here, so I decided to use the car crash to signify that kind of there was obviously danger and trouble.
Is it down in your office? You have it in your office. I'll come in there. I'll come and check it out. Yeah. I'll come down there in about 10 minutes. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You have any time today. Just need to figure it out. You're good.
Overall, I thought that turned out pretty good. Couple of changes I could have made, matched up the timing between fades, and if I really wanted to, I could have added a bit more footage, but that probably would have gone over time if I wanted to make a longer trailer. Okay, if we start on the actual film here, here we go. So an interesting fact about the establishing shot, I actually went and got this shot for an entirely different project from an entirely different class, and instead decided that I needed an establishing shot of this part for this class as well, so I thought I'd just use the same footage.
I'll be down there in about 10 minutes. A plus A times B, absolute value. I like it. I don't know what question I'm asking. Like, if I were to question I said no. Yeah. Copy the entire link. No one will ever know.
Now there are several things that I should have actually, we could have done a little bit better in the scene. One thing is, instead of revealing that they're both hurt, we should have had Travis actually start outside the vehicle and appearing peering in and trying to get to his sister. That way, it's a little bit of and not reveal this right side, so that the audience wouldn't know who the driver was or what was exactly was happening. Another thing is right here when she's calling the police, I should have had her actually continue talking throughout the scene, and if I could redo that one, I would have her continue talking, even with the camera not on her, so that I could have the background audio play as well as him talking to Lucy.
Yes.
And for the second scene, I do think I should have merged the second scene with the third scene right here when editing. Maybe at least to this fade at the very least. But otherwise, any notes for this scene is just that we should have signified how we actually got there, or in some form or way, as he followed Lucy, because there's really no reason that he should be up or moving or even at this, being able to follow them at all. So that's something we probably should have done in our script, but otherwise, here's the next scene. Alright, for this part of the scene, Travis is really being devastated that his sister's hurt and is only praying that she'll be okay. I thought this passage of time went really well for what I had. Originally, there was actually a scene of him getting blocked out by the window over here when they first go in, but not only did I mess up the scene by being in the background by accident, but it also didn't make much sense because in the previous scene, the window was closed anyways, so I decided just to leave it out. And for this scene, interesting is this audio is actually not from the same scene that this is. It's from another scene of us sitting the body up, but it's I just matched it with this one because this the one for this actually had people talking in the background, so I changed that up a bit. So this next section, right here, I thought that this scene actually went quite well. Than the reveal, I wish I could have had a little more dialogue right in between him, with him freaking out, but without it, it still went fine. You can obviously tell he's angry, and this is the only transition I had trouble with, because there was really no other angles of him standing there and walking to the bed. But instead of him just sitting down, let's continue. And for this last section, there's one thing that I did whenever he pulls the plug is I used a lens flare to kind of increase the brightness from one spot to move it on to the next scene as kind of a makeshift transition. Overall, I think the dialogue went okay. We needed probably a little bit more of him deciding whether or not he wanted to take his life or not, rather than live on. That internal struggle may have been a little too short. And on to this next scene.
That's 2 points. So you just do this, copy this method, make it down here, make say dragon instead, make it do dragon, 4 times with the LT between. No, that's fine. Do that, and then the venting actually doesn't want to do that except for that. Yeah, so fix that venting, I'll give you 40 seconds. So if I take this.
Okay, now in this section, probably one of my favorite scenes. I thought it went really, really well. The only notes an interesting fact is that all the birds and the grunting of leaves, that's all actual background audio, so that turned out really, really well. It's just great coincidence that birds happen to be chirping in the morning. That kind of went with the heavenly feel of the surrounding. This audio, this kind of section was the only bad thing. They could have had a little more of a happier kind of meeting where they run up to each other, just because brother and sister meeting after death, they just seemed kind of lackluster. And then for this last part, this is where I put the actual credits, because I love the scene of the lake, so I did a frame freeze and made it to where the credits could roll over top of it, which I thought had made it turn out very well.
You can fix that right now? Alright, you fix that right now. Gotta walk down and see what's up. No, that's fine.
But overall, the only parts that were kind of rushed were the hospital parts and the actual room, just because we were a little pressed for time, only having an hour, 2 hours to shoot at a time, meaning that we didn't have a whole lot of time for mistakes. So we definitely rushed that part of it and could have done that a little better, but otherwise, that is my film.
So,